All right, so I just wanted to give you some quick tips about gardening on a hillside. So we had a hillside and it got pretty steep right down here. And so the main thing you have to keep in mind is that water is your enemy. And if water is allowed to move fast, it will just tear things apart, and your garden and all your topsoil or good soil or whatever you got will all be washed away. Erosion. But if you can control the speed of the water, it doesn't get as much energy and momentum and ability to carry off your dirt and your vegetables with it. So what you want to do, the general principle that you really want to make sure you're doing, is to make your rows perpendicular to the slope. So let me see if I can get a shot here. So our slope goes generally this way, so our rows go against it, and that kind of slows the water down, and it traps the water as it falls kind of between the rows. And the water will accumulate eventually. And I mean, on this side, for example, we have some of these draining here, and it heads right out on the road over there. But you want the best time to figure out what's going on in your garden is to head out in the middle of a rainstorm and look to see where the water is going. And when we set this garden up the first time, our longest row, our bottom row actually, was the first row we got in, and we made a solid row across the bottom of this slope, and the water just pooled behind it like an enormous dam, and it eventually just blew its way through in 2 or 3 places. And that was okay, because it let us know where we needed to make the path to get through the rest of our rows. So we got like these walking paths. I mean, and it just worked out nice to have these walking paths. And, you know, even though there's a path between all the rows, notice that they're not all right underneath each other. Like as you go up the slope, it's not straight up the slope. Like I tried to stagger it. So when the water does come through, it needs to hit this bank first, and then it'll go around, and it just slows down the water. But you will need a few places where the water drains. It'll be the low places. So I think this has like 2 or 3 spots, and this is about a 90-foot long row. But depending on how long your row is, it won't actually necessarily be a perfectly straight line as you look down the row, because you're following the slope. You're going around, like if you had just a mound and you wanted to have your rows perpendicular to this like big round mound, I don't know if you were farming on a big hillside, I mean, eventually you'd kind of circle the mountain, like to follow the, make your line perpendicular to the slope of the hill or the mountain or whatever. So one more thing that we did, we had some pretty hard clay, and we ended up using that clay as a dam to hold back our topsoil. So every one of these rows, almost every single one of them, it's got like this clay dam at the bottom of it, and then we put topsoil on the top side of that, and it's working out real nice. And there's one more thing that's kind of cool about it. Actually, the steeper you get, it actually acts almost like a raised bed. Like you don't have to bend over so low. Like you can stand down here and like it's already up like a foot or two. It's easier on your back for weeding and whatnot. We'll do another video on the battle against the weeds. But I guess that's all I have for now. Gardening on a slope. Slow down the water, and you gotta have a few places to let the water out. So guess that's it for now. Be strong, be wise, be a survivor homesteader.